Now anytime a downstream recipient from the initiator double clicks on a message that is an Office Routing Plus message, as we just saw, the dialog box or the main form for Office Routing Plus pops up. And what we do is we automatically bring the user to the Files to Review tab, cluing them in that what we want them to do primarily is to view the files that are showing here in the tab for review, or in the grid I should say, for review. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I can double click on the file, and that will open up for me. I can optionally make any changes to the file. In this case I'm going to just put in a simple change here in one of the columns, and what you want to do here is just close the file and make sure that if you have made changes to the file and you want those to continue in the routing process, those changes, say yes to this question. Now in this case it was an Excel document, so the file opened in Excel. If this was a different type of document such as Word or PowerPoint or PDF or whatever, it would just open in the application that's native to that file extension, and then when you're working with that document, if it's a document that can be altered, then when you go to change it, that application, just like Excel is doing here, will prompt you as to whether you want to save it. In this case I'm going to say yes, I want those changes to hold. And if I were to open this file back up just to make sure that my change had stuck, it had been preserved in my file, I can see here that indeed it did. Just a brief note that, as I just mentioned, any downstream recipients that open any of the files in the Files to Review tab can alter the file. That's possible in the current version of the product. In a future version, what we plan on doing is allowing the initiator to specify in each routing process whether or not the downstream recipients can in fact make changes to the file. Same is true if we hop over here to the Routing Slip tab itself. First of all, you'll note the grid information shows very clearly who it's been sent to already and who still has to receive it for approval. But I was going to say that the downstream recipients could also currently alter the recipient path. Of course, they can't change the history. Anything that's got a checkbox mark, meaning it's already been routed to this person or these people, nobody can change that. That's always preserved on the message. But the downstream recipients could, before it gets to back to the initiator, alter the routing path simply by just clicking on Add Recipient. Or they could even delete recipients currently to take somebody off. And again, in a future version, this will become an option that the initiator can specify as to whether or not the downstream recipients can make those changes or not. So at this point, we can go ahead and approve this document. I just want to point out that there is an option to reject the document. And doing so, clicking the button will bring up this form that would allow some optional text to be entered in here that will show up in the body of the message. And we're just going to, if we were to reject this, we would just put in a message, and this is just going to reject back to the initiator. So it's really just a message that goes right back to the initiator. Nothing else is going to go downstream to any of the people after myself. In this case, it's not going to go to Nancy. If I were to reject this, it's going to go right back to Joe, to myself, the initiator, were I to choose to reject. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead instead and say I want to route to next. So it's going to tell me that's going to go to Nancy, and if I say OK, that's going to be sent off to her.